My name is Addie, and just like you, I am here on planet Earth with a very specific mission. When we came into this lifetime, it was not just a random reincarnation or just, another lifetime. This is a lifetime when we came to really change planetary reality. So we were trained for this mission. We came from all sorts of places, not only in this galaxy, but really from the entire universe. I remember really coming from a different galaxy, and as I was leaving my home galaxy, it is as if I was standing on the outskirts, the arms of the galaxy, and my family of the light was warning me and preparing me, saying, do not mix with the humans. And so this was just one of the memories. It's pretty special to be here now and to have all these ancient memories that are being really awakened and activated in us. And I'm sure that you guys are experiencing the same thing. We are going through an intense process right now. It really started at the end of 2019. 2020 was a science fiction. We had so many different activations. It's really, we are no longer the humans we used to be. And we are now very focused on rebuilding the body, the Merkaba, the body of light, the rainbow body of Mother Earth. Mother Earth is not only a planet, she is much more. She is part of the cosmic web of creation. Now, the cosmic web, of course, when you think of a web like a spider web or a fisherman's net, when it has distortions, it causes a problem. And it doesn't cause just problem to one part that has that kind of distortion. It creates a distortion, right, in the big system. And so it would be natural when you look at a big net that when you have a distortion within the net, you would like to fix it so that, again, you are in harmony as a collective. And so we are, in a way, fixing the web of life on planet Earth by rebuilding the planetary rainbow body, the body of light of Mother Earth. Now, humans, as you know, were using life force incorrectly, mainly, for thousands of years. So I remember 2 lifetimes at the end of Atlantis. And, these lifetimes are revealed to us every time it is useful. So it's not to entertain us, it's just to give us a glimpse into what happened and what we have to learn from. So I had a lifetime as a being who was extremely tall. Our old society, all of us are very tall beings living in the region of Ethiopia. And I could see that it was some of our members of our society were misusing life force in terms of lusting after the human form. And so when you think of lust, you don't think like lust is a big deal. We all have lusted before, and we still have billions of people on this planet who lust. But the thing is that when we lust, the use of life force is very interesting, is really the key to understand. So what is lust? It is saying that I am so unconscious that I do not understand that I am one with all, and that I just want to touch a body, which in a way is kind of like a dream body of someone else, so that I can feel pleasure. So if that's how lust works, then of course it is the misuse of life force, because our bonding with another human being should come from a completely different place. It should come, of course, from our own wholeness and our ability to express the frequency of love through our rainbow body, while merging with another being who is completely whole in their own rainbow body, and their heart is activated with this frequency where we become magnetically drawn to each other. So that's just how things used to be in Mu, and that's another memory that I would like to share with you later. So another memory from the end of Atlantis was how Atlantis really ended, is that the electromagnetic field of the Earth dramatically changed. That of course caused the Great Flood, but what it really caused is that when you change the electromagnetic field of our whole planet abruptly, it puts everyone into amnesia. So everyone forgets. So the next moment, suddenly everybody just shakes it off. They know something strange happened, but they can't remember. And they keep living as if they really didn't have a memory of the past. but somehow they become so delusional that it doesn't even matter. So everybody becomes kind of mad, and just living in amnesia is what we have done ever since. So it's been 12,000 years. So using life force is really the new teaching for the new humanity, for the new earth. I would like to share the memories of Mu. So I came to planet Earth first, when basically there was no life on planet Earth, and many of you came too. So we would call these beings the rainbow beings, the rainbow children. We came with the first creative being, or the creator being, which is unimaginable really to human mind these days. But that being is what we would call the rainbow serpent of creation, and she is the being associated with the element of water. So actually she is the body of cosmic water. You can call her the cosmic Elohim of water, you can call her the rainbow serpent. But for me, because I had lifetimes in Australia, it was all Mu, but I remember 3 lifetimes at that point as a, what we would call today human being. So in Australia, in Tahiti, and in Hawaii. So all of those are really visceral memories, physical memories of being in a human body. But when we first came, we didn't have human bodies. So when we came with this water being, that is this cosmic quantum kind of computer informational field, that all the molecules within water act as, they have information about everything in cosmos. So water is not just a planetary element, she is throughout cosmos. And within water, we not only have memories, but we also have, water records also even future. And any information that we put into water is forever recorded and is accessible to us. So when we came with water, we started to create life. And so many of us would become what we would call today elements of nature. So my first embodiment on planet Earth was a stream that we would call water in the Himalayas. But actually it was the stream of consciousness, because water is conscious, and so we needed consciousness to create through the elements. And so water was the embodiment of consciousness. And so different bodies of water had different consciousness, but of course all being part of one. And then we received the light codes, and the light codes would create forms. So the first forms came from water. So many of us became these water beings that were constantly evolving, always receiving new codes from, of course, not only our own galaxy, but from our creator beings in other dimensions. And not only galactics, but of course beyond galactics. So when you think of our galaxy, so we think of beings like Sirians and Pleiadians, Arcturians, and many more. But actually there are layers of creation in other dimensions that go beyond galactic creation. So we would call those Elohim beings. They are geometrical beings in higher dimensions that create life. Now, when we started to evolve, this is again a memory, we would end up as what we would call today mermaids, or whatever you want to call it, water beings. So I remember being a water being and really just existing and living in water, not having legs, but having arms and having the upper torso, which was almost similar to today's human. And at this point, other beings were introduced to planet Earth, and they were very unconscious compared to us water beings. So water beings were very much connected to nature. They understood nature. They were really advanced in terms of understanding the sacredness of creation. And then these beings who came to planet Earth in what we would call today human bodies were extremely unconscious, and we water beings felt really appalled by them. We could see the energy field, and the energy field was just really unconscious. They didn't have reverence for life, they didn't have reverence for nature, and they were very power hungry. And not just power, but they were also, disrespectful. And to us, that was really like a horror experience, just watching them. And they started to interact with us. And as you can imagine, huge misuse of life force on their side, on their part. And, we have these stories in our fairy tales maybe and myths, but this was real. The beings who came here who were unconscious, they were, I would call it, misusing, especially physically and even sexually, these water beings. It seems like a complete, fairy tale or science fiction, but actually that happened. And so after that, I remember, living in Mu, where we were really attuned to nature. And this was the lifetime in Australia, Tahiti, and Hawaii. We were beings who completely were clairvoyant, and so we could see the flow of life force through nature and from the spirit. We only worshipped nature and the Great Spirit, and not because we would be trying to find some kind of divinity in nature. It's because we had a very deep understanding of what nature really is, and that nature is really divine, and that nature constantly holds a portal to the Great Spirit, to Source, to God. And so as we had our third eye completely open, so we could see how this rainbow light flows through all of creation. And of course, to us, there was nothing more important than to be in harmony with the flow of this rainbow light that creates life. We were mainly sustained by life force, so definitely not eating any animals, because animals to us were as sacred as life force herself. So it would not be possible for us to ever kill an animal, because when we looked into the eyes of any animal, we always saw sacredness, and sacredness of all life was really important to us. That was our religion, really, if you want to call it religion. And so as this light was moving, we were nourished by this light. We could also interact with, fruit and flowers and essences, and our cells would mainly function, they would be directly nourished by life force. But of course it was pleasurable for us to, smell flowers and to eat fruit, whatever nature had for us, without having to abuse her or, of course, kill her, such as these days when we kill animals. So this is all important because we are returning to that consciousness of reverence for all of nature, including all of animals, every single rock, and especially the body of water. This is so important that we as humans understand the importance of nature and not just think of it as something nice, or, like there are people who say, I'm not a nature person. That's impossible. Even though we had these beings who had a very low consciousness, and they are still here, of course, on this planet, but it is time to reunite into beings who are one with nature and really one with each other, which is what's going to happen as we keep ascending. These beings who lived in Mu, as they could see the flow of the rainbow light, it was really important that we work with that flow. And so you would definitely not call these beings primitive in any way. We were really advanced, actually, because to be in harmony with the flow of rainbow light and with nature is actually a very advanced consciousness. When we fall from that consciousness, we start worshipping gods that really do not exist, the gods that come from other, stars and star systems. And we completely misunderstand the simplicity of creation. And we get lost in all those creative dreams that we, kind of forget that we are dreaming. So in Mu, we knew exactly how creation works. Light comes from Source. It manifests in nature. It flows through us. We have open hearts, fully 100% vibrant hearts. The hearts act as kind of like a computer that always creates a reaction that is always in love with all that is around and everyone and everything and the self. And so that heart for us was a really important center that would create a field around us, a magnetic field. And as you know, everything in cosmos is held together by magnetism. That is what we would call love. And so this magnetic love was emanating from us. And so when life force would flow into this magnetic heart, it would come out multiplied by our own essence, and we would create forms from the heart. The new earth already exists as a dimension that can be visited, and it really depends on our own frequency and vibration. So our light body, which is really comprised mainly through the radiance of our consciousness and all our experiences we've ever had as beings, our light body is like a key or like a code. It allows us to travel to different dimensions, to different star systems, to different planets. It's very genius. So when you have the perfect code to enter a dimension such as Venus or the new Earth or whatever it is that you are visiting, then it is your light body that opens the dimension to you and you are able to enter it. That of course works also if we have very low vibration, then we have access to also very low worlds. And that's pretty much here on planet Earth. That's why we have so many beings who can be completely unconscious in this world, because we've lowered the vibrancy of this collective of humanity. Now, visiting the new Earth, you will see that the new Earth is really the queendom of nature, once again, just like it used to be in Mu, and that beings are absolutely integrated into nature instead of violating her. And also all the buildings and everything that humans create is always created in harmony with nature without having to cut her down. So everything is about integration and also mimicking nature. So Divine Mother always tells me that our future is what she calls biomimicry. So mimicking nature, learning from nature, and creating everything the way that nature creates it. And being creative is really important. That actually is who we are. Our creativity is the most important, skill that we have, or ability, because obviously creation wants to always create more of itself. Just like when you see nature, nature is really the best way to understand divinity and the divine is to just study nature. And so the new Earth, we already have many beings who exist on the new Earth. And again, you can visit. Important is also the quality of water. So water is so sacred that no one would ever pollute water on the new Earth. As water is the quantum computer of creation, we learn from water. The oceans have to be 100% clean. You cannot have any pollution in the oceans because they hold so much information, and they also are home for fish, and fish are really important. So once again, we would never eat fish because fish hold the frequency of joy, and this joy needs to be emanated into the planetary grid. It is an important quality that keeps everything in balance. And so how do we get there? When I visited the new Earth, this was in January, I was given the task to sit down for 33 days and to write codes, 33 codes, into a book. The book has to be printed, the book has to have a hardcover, and the book itself is like a transformer for divine energy that will be flowing from source, from the galactic center, from the solar energies, and they will flow exactly into the book. So each book will be like a vortex of these energies that will be activating the new ancient planetary grid. I know there are other people like Matthias de Stefano working on this grid and the activation of the grid. It is the key to switching the old reality off and to switching the new reality on. So this book is going into print now in June 2021. So it will be available soon. It is not just a book to read, which it has important information about creation and beautiful artwork, but really the value and the importance of the book is the energy that is in the book itself, in the physical object. Now, let's say Matthias de Stefano is activating the planetary grid with crystals that are being activated in Egypt right now. And this book will be just like those crystals in a way, activating the planetary grid through the vortices that each book will create. Each book will be its own vortex of these divine energies. The key really to this, what we call ascension, is the activation of this new grid. And the new grid, the beings always tell me they call it the ancient new grid, because it was the grid that could actually hold harmony and translate reality to us correctly without distortions. That way, we will once again, as an entire planet, be reconnected to this web of life that exists within cosmic creation. And, Native people in Americas and around the world really, they knew that there are beings that we would call really galactic spiders, which I know sounds a little strange, but they weave reality into being. So this web that is really physical and we can see it, physical doesn't mean that, the difference between physical and non-physical. So physical doesn't mean that it has to be visible to us. So this web is actually real, and those who can see, they see it. And I guess most people don't see it. But it's a web of life that is really throughout all of creation. And so our web of life here is created by a being that does have, many arms, and you could call her a spider or spider grandmother, which is one way to describe her. Her name is Mu. And Mu is who will be creating this new reality for us once the planetary body is aligned with her web without distortions. So in a way, we will be downloading this new information. We will be upgrading our grid, and that will give us access once again to knowing who we are, where we came from, and who is who. Because who is important. We've been living in a world that worships all sorts of things, but really it's very simple. Source emanates light, life force, from which all is created. And what we would call Divine Mother is the field of creation. So when you look at Source as a small circle in the middle, and then a larger circle all around it, which is a symbol for the sun, then that is the perfect symbol for creation. Source in the middle and the emanation all around it. These are exciting times. We will be doing a planetary water activation on June 10th. It would be great for everyone to join us if possible. We will have a visitation from the Aboriginal, guardians of this planet. They have been coming to us the last few days and showing us how the planetary water, when it is activated, it will actually create a magnetic field of love around the Earth, which is again important for the reset of the planetary grid. And you can sign up for the event on our website, greentara.guru.